Hey, F1 fans! Welcome back to Fast News F1, the channel where we break down the latest news, epic battles, and key moments from the world of Formula One racing. Before we dive into today's topic, make sure to subscribe to Fast News F1 and hit that notification bell. Your support helps us grow and reach our goal of 100 subscribers, bringing the latest F1 news to fans around the world. So let's dive in. Today, we're talking about one of the hottest topics coming out of the United States Grand Prix in Austin, the on-track battle between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton's strong response to it. In a race where Ferrari took the top step of the podium, Norris and Verstappen fought fiercely for the remaining positions, with each pushing their cars to the edge. But here's the twist: Lando Norris launched from pole position with Verstappen close on his heels. They approached the first turn with full aggression, and Verstappen made a bold inside move, forcing both drivers to take the wider route. This set up a back-and-forth battle that would eventually lead to a controversial 5-second penalty for Norris, costing him a podium spot. Comment below, do you think the penalty was fair, or did the stewards go too far? In the aftermath, Lewis Hamilton weighed in, calling for the end of what he sees as a grey area in the F1 regulations. According to Hamilton, Verstappen has managed to get away with moves that often push the boundaries of what's considered fair racing. He pointed to the recent race as yet another example of how rules need to be clearer to prevent these situations. Hamilton's comments strike a chord with many fans who've seen similar battles unfold over the years, but they also raise a question: should Formula One introduce stricter guidelines for overtaking? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're there, why not answer our poll: should drivers face harsher penalties for forcing rivals off track, or is this just part of the sport's excitement? For those who missed the race, here's a quick recap. During a thrilling back and forth, Norris managed to pass Verstappen on the outside at turn 12. However, Verstappen didn't hold back, launching up the inside and crowding Norris out of room, forcing both drivers off the track and into the runoff area. Norris returned to the track ahead, but his momentum would soon be halted when the stewards intervened, giving him a 5-second penalty and promoting Verstappen to the podium. McLaren was understandably frustrated, arguing that Norris had rightfully earned his position. Meanwhile, Verstappen's camp defended the move, emphasizing that his positioning was within the current rules. But what do you think? Should Norris have kept his position, or was the penalty fair? Let us know in the comments if you think the steward's decision was correct. Now, here's where things get interesting. Hamilton's critique of the grey area highlights an ongoing debate in Formula One. Where do you draw the line on aggressive defending versus reckless driving? Hamilton has faced similar moves himself and believes F1 needs a more consistent set of rules, emphasizing that too much is left to interpretation. FIA regulations state that drivers need to leave enough room for their competitors, but as we've seen, the actual enforcement of this rule can vary. As Hamilton pointed out, some races see harsher penalties, while others are more lenient, depending on the stewards present for each Grand Prix. Do you agree with Hamilton that F1 should have stricter, clearer rules? Tap the thumbs up if you're with him, or share your counterpoint in the comments if you think the current system adds to the unpredictability of the sport. Lando Norris had a lot to say about the incident, too. He believes he was completely ahead of Verstappen at turn 12, arguing that he should have been allowed to keep his position without a penalty. According to Norris, the logic behind the penalty was flawed. He had already completed the overtake, so Verstappen's crowding tactic should have been penalized instead. Interestingly, the FIA determined that Verstappen was the defending car in this scenario, which permitted him some leeway in how he positioned his car. Norris, however, saw it differently, insisting that Verstappen's actions overstepped the boundaries of defensive driving. Fans, this is a big one. Do you think Norris was right in saying he should have kept the position, or did the stewards make the right call? Comment below if you're #Team Norris or if you believe Verstappen was just doing his job as a fierce competitor. Former F1 driver and analyst Anthony Davidson shared his own view on the issue. He believes that drivers need to be willing to get tough with Verstappen, suggesting that Max's confidence stems from knowing others might be hesitant to challenge him aggressively. Davidson mentioned that Verstappen's assertive style will only change when competitors start outmaneuvering him, not just with speed but with tactical racecraft. What do you think? Is it time for other drivers to start taking an even more aggressive stance on the track? Cast your vote in our latest poll on how drivers should handle battles with Verstappen. The Norris-Verstappen duel and the resulting debate on regulations are sparking calls for the FIA to refine its rulebook. As fans of the sport, we've seen how interpretations of these rules can alter race results and the driver standings. Many argue that standardizing officiating, perhaps by introducing full-time stewards, could bring greater consistency to the sport. So, what's your take? Should the FIA adopt full-time stewards, or are rotating stewards the best fit for a dynamic, fast-paced sport like F1? Comment below with your thoughts. McLaren has formally lodged a right to review with the FIA, requesting a detailed analysis of the penalty handed to Norris. This penalty was slapped on during the final laps in Austin when Lando went off track while trying to overtake Verstappen for third place. But why only Norris? After all, both he and Verstappen went wide. Could the penalty have been a bit too harsh? What do you think, racing fans? Was the penalty fair, or do you think both drivers should have shared responsibility? Let us know in the comments, vote fair or unfair, and share your take on how the FIA could handle these situations better. Norris himself expressed frustration, admitting that, while stewards face tough calls, their decision-making could be more informed if more drivers were involved in the process. He noted, and I quote, "You need to understand their thought process, and you can only do that with people who have been drivers and understand racing." Now, that's a bold statement. Does Norris have a point? Are you in favor of having more former drivers as stewards? Share your thoughts below. We'll be watching the comments closely for your insights. In fact, let's make this a poll. Should F1 involve more former drivers as race stewards? Vote in the comments with yes or the no, and tell us why. This Friday's drivers' meeting is expected to be heated, as quite a few other drivers reportedly agree with Norris's viewpoint. It's not just a McLaren issue, other teams, and even fans, have voiced their concerns. McLaren's right to review is their move to get clarity on how this decision was made and to potentially open discussions about more consistent rulings in the future. It's not every day that drivers from multiple teams rally around a single incident. This tells us that there may be some widespread sentiment regarding stewards' calls. But what about you? How do you feel about stewards' consistency in F1 decisions lately? Share your thoughts, and let's get the conversation going. To recap, Norris was aiming to overtake Verstappen around turn 12 on lap 52. Both drivers went off the track, but only Norris received a penalty. The FIA's reasoning? Norris gained an advantage. And to add more context, while the initial call was for a 5-second penalty, they even considered a 10-second penalty but adjusted it, citing Verstappen's role in forcing Norris off track. F1 fans, here's a question for you. Should there be different levels of penalties depending on whether a driver is forced off the track by another competitor? Let us know your thoughts, and maybe you have suggestions for how penalties could be handled in cases like this. The decision has sparked a lot of discussions, and you can bet we'll keep you updated on where this story goes. Will the right to review request lead to a revised penalty or rule changes? Only time will tell. Until then, don't forget to subscribe to Fast News F1 and hit the notification bell. Your subscription is a huge support and keeps us bringing you the latest on everything in Formula 1. Our goal is to hit 100 subscribers, and with your help, we're well on our way. Alright, racing enthusiasts, that's it for today's episode. Make sure to leave your comments, join the discussions, and tell us what you'd like to see in future videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the track.